I'd like to call this meeting in order at 2:05. Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you. Councilmember Kaplan. Here. Councilmember Dickinson is expected momentarily. Councilmember Pluckybaum. Here. Councilmember Maple. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Guerra is expected momentarily. Councilmember Jennings. Here. Councilmember Vang.
Here.
Councilmember Dickinson.
Yo.
Expect Mayor McCarty shortly. Vice Mayor Talamontes.
Thank
You have a quorum.
Councilmember Kaplan, will you please lead us in the land acknowledgement and Pledge of Allegiance?
The Southern Maidu, the Valley and Plains Miwok, the Putwin Wintun peoples, and the people of Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federally recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on these ancestral lands by choosing to gather today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for Sacramento's Indigenous peoples' histories, contributions, and lives. Thank you. Please remain standing. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember. City Attorney, is there any report out from closed session? Okay, thank you so much. And today we are have a special presentation for International Overdose Awareness Day. And so I just want to acknowledge to all the loved ones and people that have lost loved ones to overdoses and how hard it is for the families. And so I do want to share that here. Well, I'm going to read a little excerpt from this. International Awareness Day is an opportunity for communities to stand beside those who have lost ones to an overdose and those who have a substance use disorder and are diligently working toward recovery. Since 2025, 44,565 opioid overdoses have occurred in the United States. And here in the Sacramento, or in the California, 5,462 deaths. And so this is a huge problem, not just in California, but across the country, and especially here in Sacramento. And so I just want to bring awareness to this so that we can all reflect on the moment for the families and the people that have lost loved ones. And with that being said, I'd like to bring a presentation to come up here to say a few words.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Lori Miller. I'm a behavioral health division manager for the County of Sacramento for 27 years and a member of the Opioid Coalition executive team since 2016. I want to thank you for the opportunity this afternoon to share a few remarks with you all today. August 31st is International Overdose Awareness Day, so we come together to remember, to honor, and to recommit ourselves to preventing overdose and saving lives here in our community. August 31st is a day to recognize the people and families whose lives have been forever changed by overdose. And to remind ourselves that behind every death is a person, a son or a daughter, a parent, a sibling, a friend, a colleague, or a neighbor. We also recognize the families and loved ones whose grief deserves to be acknowledged and their loved ones deserve to be remembered with dignity, respect, and compassion. But today is not only about remembering those we have lost, it is also about hope, because overdose is preventable and recovery is possible. Today gives us an opportunity to recognize the incredible work happening across our community at the city and county levels. No single agency, department, organization, or individual can address the overdose crisis alone. It takes partnerships. It takes prevention. It takes education. It takes families and schools and healthcare providers, first responders, community-based organizations, people with lived experience, and people in recovery working together. We all play a part. So I want to thank the City of Sacramento for your partnership in this effort. Certainly recognizing John Adair and Tina Voigt are the City of Sacramento staff who have helped promote community safety and support local businesses through trainings, resources, and policy guidance. They have been incredible partners who are very passionate and knowledgeable about helping keep our community safe while supporting local businesses to thrive. As we look ahead, our responsibility is to keep building systems where people can get help sooner, where treatment is easier to access, where recovery is supported, and where people are not defined by their substance use or by the worst moments of their lives. I want to leave us with 4 commitments this afternoon. Remember the lives lost in the grieving families. Respond with compassion, reduce stigma, and recommit action through education and partnerships. Your time is appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Lindsay Coate. I am with Bridging Medicine and the Sierra Sacramento Valley Medical Society. We actually are responsible for running the Sacramento County Opioid Coalition, of which I've been longtime chair since about 2016. Like so many people that are involved in this work, I am personally connected to it. And it is incredibly heartbreaking and frustrating to watch a loved one struggle with substance use disorder. And it's really devastating to see the impact of overdose on families who lose a loved one in our community. What gives me hope is seeing what happens when the community comes together and works together. So the Sacramento County Opioid Coalition, we bring together everyone in the community. We have law enforcement, we have our health workers, we have government agencies, we have community organizations like mine, people with lived experiences, and of course the families who have lost loved ones. We all have one single goal, and that is to save lives. A huge part of the work that we do through our coalition is to get Narcan, right, into our community. Narcan is the life-saving overdose reversal medication. We want to make sure that people know how to use it. We give out overdose prevention kits. We do trainings. We do community events. Barcan is one of my favorite examples of this, and it's exactly what it sounds like. We're giving Narcan out to bars, restaurants, and nightlife businesses. We're trying to make sure that everyone that needs it, it's there when they need it. Really want to thank the city for your partnership, especially John Adair and Tina Voigt, for opening doors to the nightlife community. They've invited us to train businesses, helped us distribute Narcan, and really embraced overdose prevention as a part of keeping Sacramento safe. I also want to recognize Joanna Roberto. She does all the work for the Sacramento County Opioid Coalition, including all of the training. She's here today, so thank you, Joanna. On International Overdose Awareness Day, we really want to remember the people that we have lost. But like Lori said, we want to also recommit ourselves to action because overdose is preventable and recovery is possible. And each one of us has a role to play in saving lives. So we want to thank the mayor and city council. Thank you for recognizing this important work that we do and for being great partners in this work. So thank you.
Yes. Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you, Mayor, and I want to thank, everyone who came here today, Lori and Lindsay and our city team, Tina and John Adair, and, I'm humbled to participate in International Overdose Awareness Day today, and also to be joining the Bridge Medicine Council here to encourage that connection. Many of us have all faced some experience in family, a family member or friend facing addiction, and know how challenging that can be and the stigma that comes with that and the loss. And I think today making sure that we recognize and stand with families who are facing that loss and friends with loss. I also want to thank all of our first responders and both in police and fire. When I had the opportunity to do my 48-hour ride-along with the fire department, we were called in the middle of the day, 2 blocks away from our house, to a overdose situation of fentanyl. And the young person was in their bedroom, and the parents were in the house, not knowing that this was occurring in the middle of the day. And as a parent, to recognize that and feel that, having 2 young kids and thinking about in the future how we get ahead of this, and also if you are facing a child or a family member with addiction, how we can engage and participate in making sure that we can support those individuals as well. So I think the big message here today is, as was said, is that recommitment. recommitment to helping in every way we can to reduce the loss of life and to engaging in all of the preventative care and then intervention care and addressing the stigma that comes with that. I just want to thank you for you being here today and recognizing that many of our families still face and carry that weight of loss with them. So proud to and humbled to join in this resolution, Mayor. Thank you all for being here today.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And yeah, it was our honor to put this on the agenda for today, recognizing this day as International Awareness Overdose Day, but more importantly, just focusing on the issue and the stigma. I think we've come a long way in the past decade, and you know, it boggles the mind that if you have an ailment with your heart or your foot, you go to the doctor, you tell your friends and neighbors and family members, of course, you go see help. But when you have a behavioral health and addiction issue, the stigma still exists. We're lessening that stigma, and by lessening it, the more opportunities we have to focus on treating individuals with substance abuse disorder and reducing the amount of overdoses in our community. So thank you for your work, which you do, and we'd like to bring you up and take a picture and receive this proclamation from the City of Sacramento.
So, Mayor, we now move to the consent calendar. Just wanted to let the audience know, if you wish to speak or submit comments, please fill out the online form. There's a QR code at the back of the room and handouts in the front. Members of the City Clerk's office are also available in the lobby to assist you. You will have 2 minutes to address the council, may speak on up to 4 items, and the timers on the screen behind me. This meeting is being live streamed in English and Spanish on YouTube. Captions and translations are AI generated and may contain errors. So that everyone has the opportunity to address the council, members of the public are asked to observe the rules of decorum. The council rules of procedure outline decorum expected in the chambers and can be found on our website. Copies in the back of the room. For instance, use of swear words, yelling from the audience, physically threatening conduct, and displays of disrespect are discouraged. The presiding officer will request that a person cease disruptive conduct, and if not immediately stopped, the presiding officer will direct the person to leave the council meeting. We now move to the consent calendar. I do have a read to the record on item 3 on section 3. So agenda item number 3, section 3 of the resolution, rather than City of Office of Innovation and Economic Development, it should say Economic Development Department. Do members have any questions on the consent calendar? Councilmember Vang?
Thanks. Just a comment on 7.
Councilmember Dickinson?
Brief comment on 1.
Item 1.
Number 1, yes. Not just on a single one, but on number 1.
Thank you. Councilmember Kaplan?
Brief comment on item 5.
So we'll go in order. Councilmember Dickinson, item 1.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to take note of the approval of the memorandum of understanding funding for the balance of the fiscal year for the community prosecutor program in North Sacramento. And we've had this in place for coming up on a year, a little short of a year. I want to express my thanks to the city manager for including funding for the balance of the current fiscal year in the budget that we adopted. I want to thank my colleagues for supporting that. This program has been enormously helpful for addressing a wide range of issues in North Sacramento. Our current community prosecutor, Paris Coleman, out of the Sacramento District Attorney's Office, is going to transition out. We're going to get a new person as our community prosecutor, but I have to say that this is working just as I had envisioned and hoped, and so it's made a real difference, and I appreciate the support of the city manager and the council for this program. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Kaplan on item 5.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I really appreciate the ingenuity of our staff trying to find a new parking permit program and realizing where it works and it doesn't work, to come back and alter it. And while I know this is specifically just in the D4 district, I do want to issue, as you look at it, like in our suburbs and our neighborhoods, you know, North Natomas is specifically built with very tiny, narrow streets. Something like this may or may not work, but it could be something that we consider as we're encouraging people to get out of their cars and public transit, but that, you know, is in North Natomas still an issue. And while I know this is just a pilot program for D4, as you look at, is this something citywide, to just keep that in consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Vang, item 7.
Thanks. Just wanted to comment on this item. This is an amendment to the rail yards special sign district, and I know that it would allow, it would allow limited special signage for large entertainment values. I just want to echo what I shared earlier this year, that I think it's just important to fully understand the long-term value of any revenue of billboards that we have committed to or forego. And my understanding is that right now, planning is actually conducting a citywide billboard market study. The study is going to examine existing billboards throughout the city, potential future billboards location, and also potential revenues opportunities. And so I'm just going to just be consistent with my vote and just vote no on this item until a city study is actually completed on billboard costs and revenues across our city. So just wanted to be on record for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no more council members signed up to speak. Councilmember Talamantes.
To piggyback off of Councilmember Vang's questions, City Manager, what is the status of that feasibility study?
It's scheduled to come back before the end of the year. I think staff gave me a timeline of December of this year.
We have motion, a second on the consent calendar. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any noes or abstentions? Hearing none. Items.
Aye on all of it except for item 7.
Yes.
So that was unanimous, but a no vote on item 7 for Councilmember Vang.
Abstention, she said. Say no or abstention?
No.
No.
So we move to the public hearings. Item number 8 is an ordinance listing 3137 33rd Street as a historic landmark on the Sacramento Register of Historic and Cultural Resources, Project M26-011. And I'm going to open the public hearing.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Henry Fuse, Preservation Planner for the City of Sacramento Community Development Department. And I'll be presenting the landmark nomination for 3137 33rd Street under file M26011.
Matthew, can I ask you to pause for a moment? I failed to call up our speaker on the consent calendar. I apologize. Annabelle Gonzalez.
Thank you. I was just asking about that. Do I just begin? If the person in charge of protecting our city's water and infrastructure tells us there's a serious flood problem, shouldn't the first response be to listen to them? Because whether you live in Natomas or anywhere else in Sacramento, what happened next should matter to all of us. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Annabelle Gonzalez. Item 4 adds another $100,000 to the Department of Utilities Leadership Program, bringing the contract to nearly $400,000. So let's talk about leadership. According to emails obtained by the Sacramento Bee, Utilities Director Dalia Fidel identified additional floodplain requirements at 3511 Arena Boulevard. The required flood elevation increased 12 inches, requiring additional steps for all 40 tiny homes, an on-site drainage system, and a drainage study. Fidel wrote that Assistant City Manager Ryan Moore flat out said he didn't want to provide the drainage system and study because he didn't understand the need. She then warned that failure to comply with FEMA requirements could downgrade Sacramento's community rating system, potentially increasing flood insurance rates citywide, with Natomas impacted the most. And then she wrote, there is also concerns that these conditions might be used as part of a justification to stop the project, politically sensitive. Why should a required drainage study ever become politically sensitive? Engineering doesn't care about politics, floodwater doesn't care about politics, and FEMA requirements do not disappear because they are inconvenient. So before spending another dollar on leadership development, please answer what matters. Was Fidel's warning followed? Has a drainage study been completed? Was a required drainage system designed? Because leadership isn't about what you learn in a program. Leadership is what you do when someone tells you something you do not want to hear. And when your utility director warns you about water, you listen. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and I apologize for the misunderstanding. Let's proceed with number 8.
Madam Clerk, I'll open the public hearing.
Thank you.
I'll start from the beginning. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Henry Fuse, Preservation Planner for the City of Sacramento's Community Development Department. I'll be presenting the landmark nomination for 3137 33rd Street under file M26011. In 2025, the property owner of 3137 33rd Street retained the services of Ella Cross, a qualified architectural historian, to prepare the historic evaluation for this property. The historic evaluation attached to your staff report concludes the property appears eligible for listing on the Sacramento Register of Historic and Cultural Resources under criteria 1 and 3 pursuant to Sacramento City Code section 17604-210 for its association with patterns of settlement and development in Oak Park and its working class Queen Anne architecture. The Preservation Director held a hearing on May 14th and initiated the statement of nomination, followed by a hearing by the Preservation Commission on June 17th. The Preservation Commission recommended the City Council determine the listing of 3137 33rd Street as a landmark in the Sacramento Register of Historic and Cultural Resources is exempt from review under CEQA sections 15308 and adopt an ordinance formally designated the property as a landmark. This concludes my presentation. I can accept any questions. Thank you.
Mayor, I have no speakers on this item.
Okay. Councilmember Maple.
All right, thank you very much. I'm happy to close the public hearing and just say that I'm really glad to see this on the agenda. This was actually a former neighbor of mine. Walk by this house all the time because I lived on 33rd and 9th. And actually, they were a beneficiary just a couple of years ago of the Habitat for Humanity Rock the Block program, which is why you see the beautiful paint on the house now and all the landscaping that was done just a couple of years ago through Rock the Block. So shout out to Habitat for Humanity for that too. A really beautiful home. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, as a longtime advocate, that I think one of our original sins as a city was getting rid of the streetcars. I wish that we could go back in time and not have that be the case. But I think this is a great example of honoring that history, and hopefully one day we can make it right. So with that, I'm happy to move the item.
Second. Okay. We have a motion and a second on the item. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any noes or abstentions? Hearing none, item passes.
Thank you, and confirming there were no public comment on that item. We move to item number 9, which is also a public hearing, ordinance listing 5241 J Street, El Dorado School as a landmark on the Sacramento Register of Historic and Cultural Resources, M26-013, and I will open the public hearing.
Good afternoon again. My name is Henry Fuse, Preservation Planner for the City of Sacramento Community Development Department. I'll be presenting the landmark nomination for 5241 J Street, also known as the El Dorado Elementary School, under file M26013. In 2025, Preservation Sacramento and East Sacramento Preservation Neighborhood Association retained the services of Brunzell Historical, a qualified architectural historian who prepared the historic evaluation for this property, currently known as the A. Warren McClaskey Adult Center and historically known as the El Dorado Elementary School. The historic evaluation attached to your staff report concludes the property at 5241 J Street appears eligible for listing on the Sacramento Register and of Historic and Cultural Resources under criteria 3 and 4 pursuant to Sacramento City Code section 17604-210 for its embodiment of Sacramento School District Architectural and Engineering Commission's 1920s architecture program and as an example of Spanish revival architecture, and as the work of James and Charles Dean of Dean & Dean, a master architecture firm. The Preservation Director held a hearing on June 4th and initiated a statement of nomination, followed by a hearing by the Preservation Commission on June 17th. The Preservation Commission recommended the City Council determine that the listing of 5241 J Street as a landmark on the Sacramento Register is exempt from CEQA review under Section 15308 and to adopt an ordinance formally designating the property as a landmark. Notice of the public hearing describing the proposed landmark listing was sent to the property owner, 5241 J Street. The property owner has not indicated objection or support for listing. The city has received letters in support of listing from Preservation Sacramento, East Sacramento Preservation Neighborhood Association, and over 40 individual members of the public. This concludes my presentation, and I will now accept any questions. Thank you.
Mayor, I have one speaker on this item, Maddie Parfit.
Hello, my name is Maddie Parfit, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Preservation Sacramento Board of Directors. We have provided a letter of support for listing the El Dorado School in the Sacramento Register of Historic and Cultural Resources and ask that the City Council vote in support of staff's position to list this property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Pleckibon.
Thank you. I'll open and close the public hearing. Move staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, motion is second. No further questions or comments. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any noes or abstentions? Hearing none, item passes.
Thank you. We now move to item 10, also a public hearing, ordinance listing 1957 13th Avenue as a landmark on the Sacramento Register of Historic and Cultural Resources, project M26-010, and I will open the public hearing.
Good afternoon again. My name is Henry Fuse, Preservation Planner for the City of Sacramento's Community Development Department. I'll now be presenting the landmark nomination for 1957 13th Avenue under file M26010. In 2025, the property owner of 1957 13th Avenue retained the services of historic environment consultants who prepared the historic evaluation for this property, which has since been revised by city staff. The historic evaluation attached to your staff report concludes the property at 1957 13th Avenue appears eligible for listing on the Sacramento Register under Criterion 3 pursuant to Sacramento City Code Section 17604-210 as a distinctive example of Tudor Revival architecture. The Preservation Director held a hearing on May 14th and initiated the statement of nomination, followed by a hearing by the Preservation Commission on May 20th. The Preservation Commission recommended the City Council determine that listing 1957 13th Avenue as a landmark on the Sacramento Register is exempt from CEQA review under Section 15308 and to adopt an ordinance formally designating the property as a landmark. A notice of the public hearing describing the proposed landmark listing was sent to the property owner at 1957 13th Avenue, and the property owner supports listing. This concludes my presentation, and I'll now accept any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no speakers on this item.
Councilmember Jennings.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I want to open and close the public hearing and move the item.
Okay. A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any noes or abstentions? Hearing none, item passes.
We now move to item 11, also a public hearing, ordinance listing 1445 45th Street as a landmark on the Sacramento Register of Historic and Cultural Resources, M26-009. And I will open the public hearing.
Good afternoon. For the last time, my name is Henry Fuse, Preservation Planner for City of Sacramento's Community Development Department, and I'll be presenting the landmark nomination for 1445 45th Street under file M26009. The owner of 1445 45th Street retained the services of historic environment consultants who prepared the historic evaluation for this property, which was reviewed and revised by city staff. The historic evaluation attached to your staff report concludes that the property at 1445 45th Street in East Sacramento appears eligible for listing on the Sacramento Register of Historic and Cultural Resources under Criterion 3 pursuant to Sacramento City Code Section 17604-210 as a representation of 20th century colonial revival architecture. No notable alterations have been made to the exterior since the period of significance. The Preservation Director held a hearing on May 14th and initiated a statement of nomination, followed by a hearing by the Preservation Commission on May 20th. The Preservation Commission recommended the City Council determine the listing of 1445 45th Street as a landmark on the Sacramento Register is exempt from CEQA under Section 15308 and to adopt an ordinance formally designating the property as a landmark. Notice of the public hearing was provided to the property owner who supports designation. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
And Mayor, I have no public comment on this item.
Thank you. Councilmember Pluckybaum?
I'll open and close the public hearing and move staff recommendation.
Okay. The motion is second on this item. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Hearing none. All those yes, item passes 9-0.
Thank you. Item 12 is a vacation of Chinatown Alley at 324 Alhambra Boulevard, proceeding number VAC 24-0009.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Madam City Clerk, and council members. My name is Thomas Adams with the Engineering Services Division of the Department of Public Works. Item number 12 on the council agenda is a request to vacate the 20-foot wide Chinatown Alley located between 30th Street and Alhambra Boulevard within District 4. This request is to vacate the public alley identified as Chinatown Alley, located adjacent to the former Mary Ann's Bakery Industrial Building, to help facilitate implementation of the approved Alhambra redevelopment project. The project consists of a 6-story, approximately 420,165 square foot mixed-use development on a 2.19-acre site that encompasses the public alley proposed for abandonment and all adjacent parcels comprising the overall project site. The approved redevelopment includes 302 multifamily residential units, approximately 2,400 square feet of ground floor commercial space, and 344 on-site parking spaces. The vacation is subject to conditions requiring the relocation of affected utility infrastructure and the reservation or dedication of any necessary easements as determined by the city and the affected utility service providers. City staff, in coordination with the reviewing agencies, support this requested vacation. Recommended action is consistent with Sacramento 2040 General Plan and complies with the California Streets and Highways Code. Staff will be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding this vacation request. Thank you.
Mayor, I have no public comment on this item.
Thank you. Councilmember Pluckybaum?
I'll open and close the public hearing and move staff recommendation.
Motion is second on this item. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any noes or abstentions? Hearing none. Item passes 9-0.
Thank you.
We move to the discussion calendar. Item number 13 is a contract to install 35 tiny homes to expand the Roseville Road campus.
All right. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, City Manager. Brian Pedro, Director, Department of Community Response. Come here today seeking approval for Council to pass a motion to authorize assembly and installation of 35 additional tiny homes at our Roseville Road Service Campus with funding provided from an Encampment Resolution Fund grant that was awarded to the city in September of 2024. A quick overview of the Roseville Road campus. We currently have 196 tiny homes. We have a north side and a south side of the campus. It was a former U.S. Air Force National Guard communications facility. It's 7.5 acres. It's a large campus, and we have some administrative buildings there that allows us to provide case management and other services on site. Our timeline on Roseville Road campus, we opened it in January of 2024. Originally had 61 tiny homes and 40 trailers. In September of 2024, we were awarded the Encampment Resolution Fund of $12.4 million to expand the campus with campus improvements as well. And we purchased our first 135 tiny homes for the site. In December 2025, we completed the first 135. We put 100 on the north side and 35 on the south, replacing the trailers that were at the end of use. In March, we came to council to get approval for the purchase of the additional 35 homes. And then here today, we are asking for approval to assemble install and make electrical connections. Number of tiny homes at Roseville Road, after adding the 35 approved and built, will bring us up to 231 on the site. And this is just a overview of what we have on site. So we have First Step Communities providing service provision on the south side, which is 96 homes that we have there now. The Gathering Inn is on the north side as an operator. We have Sac County Behavioral Health that comes out and provides service in our admin buildings. And then we have Step Up on Second providing street outreach along with DCR to bring clients into the Roseville Road site. Shelter outcomes. So we have a little comparison here of Roseville Road, X Street, and Grove. Our average length of stay at Roseville Road on the south side, this is 2025, so we didn't have the north built out yet, but our average length of stay was 228 days compared to X Street, which is 118, and Grove, which is 108. Our permanent exits from Roseville Road is 39%, so we're greater than X, less than Grove, which is our TAY, and we know our TAY outperform our other shelters. And then a breakdown of annual costs and then cost per person served. And that is a quick run. I am available for questions.
Mayor, I have two speakers on this item. First is Annabelle Gonzalez, then Nick Galling.
$7.1 million. That is a number tied to 40 tiny homes at 3511 Arena Boulevard. A project originally presented at roughly $3.7 million had climbed to $7.1 million by March, nearly double. And that may not even be the final number. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Annabelle Gonzalez. Today's Roseville Road item is important because it shows us what happens when the city's spending authority reaches its limits. It comes back to the City Council for approval and public scrutiny. Your own staff report explains that the additional Roseville Road contract pushes the cumulative contracting beyond the $5 million. The report says bringing this action before you provides transparency. I agree. So where is the same transparency for 3511 Arena Boulevard? Because after Arena reached $7.1 million, city staff discovered even more. The required flood elevation increased by 12 inches, requiring additional steps for all 40 tiny homes, as well as an on-site drainage system and a separate drainage study. According to emails obtained by the Sacramento Utilities Director, Dalia Fidel, wrote the Assistant City Manager, Ryan Moore, flat out said he didn't want to provide the drainage system and study because he didn't understand the need. But Fidel then warned what could happen if those FEMA requirements weren't followed. Sacramento could jeopardize its flood insurance discounts, potentially increasing insurance rates throughout the entire city, with Natomas impacted the most. So here's what the public deserves to know. What does $7.1 million actually buy at Arena Boulevard? What has already been spent or contracted? What remains outstanding? Has a drainage study been completed? What will the additional flood and drainage requirements cost? And most importantly, after everything discovered since that March estimate, is $7.1 million still the same price, or has it gone higher? If Roseville Road crossing the $5 million threshold deserves council oversight and transparency, then 3511 Arena Boulevard deserves the same. Before Arena moves forward, bring it before this council. Let the public see the numbers, because $7.1 million demands an explanation.
Thank you for your comments. Nick Galling.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, and City Manager. Nick Galling, Executive Vice President with the Gathering Inn. TGI operates the north end of the Roseville Road campus and has done so since its opening on February 6th of this year. I'm pleased to report that the program has been thriving with additional enhancements at no additional cost to the contract taking place daily. Admittedly, I'm big on both quantitative and qualitative data, so I'd like to share a little bit of that with you today. Currently, there are a total of 100 cabins. We've been at or near capacity since less than 30 days after opening. Our average length of stay has been 79 days, and the median has been 63. We serve an average of 45 dogs daily at the program, which makes it the largest provider of animal shelter services outside of a literal animal shelter. Thus far, we've served 10 veterans. More than half our guests are experiencing chronic homelessness, 74 survivors of domestic violence, 21 of which are currently fleeing. A third of our guests are 55 years of age or older, and thus far, 33 guests have graduated to improved housing, and nearly 50% of those left directly to permanent housing. None of this could have been made possible without partnerships. Of course, DCR and Step Up have been excellent to work with on building the relationships in the street and getting people into the program. In addition to supplemental services on site through various community partners, TGI has been able to bring in Unitech College nursing students as well as Dignity Health as a serve partner. And we're just getting started, all at no extra cost to the contract, increasing the return on investment in the program. We're grateful for the partnership with the City of Sacramento in addressing this issue and look forward to the opportunity to expand services to those who are living outdoors and waiting to get in. Thank you.
I have no more speakers on this item.
Thank you, Councilmember Dickinson.
Thanks, Mayor. Brian, I had a quick question. I was trying to recall, my recollection was at the outset of starting in on Roseville Road, we were going to have 200 tiny homes. Now, this would take us to 231, but I just wanted, my recollection correct that we started with the goal of 200?
Yeah, and so there's units and there's capacity. We have way more capacity than units because each unit that we actually have, including when we started with the pallet homes in there, they're dual occupancy. The challenge with that is getting two people to come off the street and live together within a pallet home. Right. So we are exceeding the units, and we are far exceeding if we could get two people in each. So everything in there is double occupancy.
Do you have an estimate of how many residents are actually inhabiting Roseville Road at this point?
As couples?
Not as couples, total. What, including couples?
Well, there's a handful that are. Nick, do you know how many you have as dual occupancy?
Yeah, so we have.
Can you come up to the podium?
So of the 100 units on the north end, we are averaging about 110 total individuals.
About 110?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe.
North. What about the south one for the total number that he's asking?
Well,
I only operate the north
he doesn't have the south end.
Yeah, I know.
South is about the same.
Okay, so maybe there's at 100, excuse me, at 200 units, just 220 people, roughly. And then with this addition of the 35, does that exhaust this source of grant funding?
It does for capital purchase,
Yeah.
and then we are using the remainder for operating.
Okay. And do we have expectation or do we foresee adding additional tiny home to additional units at Roseville Road?
I think we've run out of room at Roseville Road.
Okay. I wasn't quite sure whether that had occurred or not. So this is what we foresee as the cap.
Yes.
Okay. I appreciate that. This is, among other things, the largest place where we have animals outside the animal shelter in the city. We have, as we've just discussed, 220 residents now that we're going to add to with 35 more units. I know that for the constituents I represent, while they certainly have some concerns, they've been willing to accept this location. On your chart, had the Grove, which is also in District 2, and of course last week we approved moving forward with an agreement for 100 tiny homes, also in District 2. So I can only say for my part that I look forward to having places for those who are coming off the street and moving to transition to housing to take up their initial residence in other parts of the city. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Kaplan.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you remind me, how does somebody get in there? What's the 211 referral process?
So for Roseville Road campus, it is direct from DCR.
Okay, so it's not 211.
So it's not in the CAS system, correct?
Okay. Just because I'm hearing some confusion of those who want to get into certain shelters, I think city manager may be looking at that, because I'm hearing from those that call 211, but then realizing it only takes certain referrals. How do we coordinate something like that to avoid? Councilmember Dickinson, I had the pleasure of going to the Grove yesterday in your district and watching how well it is run, but that was something that I heard from the youth of trying to navigate 211 and where can they go and how do they get a referral and where's the proper process to go. So what is the process as we've heard? We know, council members, Ordinance 2023-0015 gives our city manager authority up to $5 million to approve projects. Madam City Manager, does that include also operating expenses, or how is that $5 million delineated?
Operating expenses are outside the $5 million.
So it's only for construction?
And build out, that's correct.
And build out. You know, I think that's something where I have full confidence in you that it was the Vice Mayor, Councilmember Jennings, and I did submit a proposal that has not been referred to committee that I believe council should have the opportunity to review that and discuss that. I appreciate this item as we've reached the $5 million threshold coming to council for approval. But in light of having budget deficits, in light of the fact that it took public record requests and the SACB to expose that my answers had not been, my questions had not been answered by city staff, showing that the Arena Boulevard project had ballooned to $7.1 million, and that there were city staff trying to find ways to avoid having it come to council, calls into question not necessarily you, but what will other city staff do to try to subvert the process so that it is not transparent and it is not above board. I have visited Roosevelt Road, and I think both sites are doing about as great a job as you can. I think the Grove is doing outstanding because it's permanently changing the lives of transitional age youth, which have immeasurable savings on the community and everything else because they are changing their lives forever. And a majority are not ending back up on the streets. So I look forward to getting that data more so, as you say, to really look at it, because right now, while some may say the Grove is more costly, in reality, if you look at the cost per person served, it is the same as Roseville Road, and it's got a higher positive exit outcome. So I think also we should be looking at how do we benefit our transitional age youth, which it will make a lifelong difference and be more cost effective and savings. But I appreciate what's going through. Last question, Madam City Manager. Based off of your authority giving with the adopted ordinance in 2023, is the item on Arena Boulevard coming to City Council for a vote, or have you exercised your authority?
At this time, there is no project on Arena Boulevard that is paused at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you very much, Mayor. First, just want to thank DCR and also Nick, you and your team, for your work. This item, I think, is important. While it's only 35 new units, if the average is 60 days per stay, we're looking at an additional over 200 people that we can help move off the street on top of the current capacity that we have. And the speed of being able to address and provide capacity, I think, is critical. We have one facility on Stockton Boulevard for 175 people, also with kennels and the support services. I think the important thing there, though, is the on-site health services, the wraparound services, the behavioral health services that folks need when they've come in. I know, at least in my council district, a grand majority, I think it was close to 80% of folks have self-identified with needing some level of behavioral health support, substance use support, or any of those issues. So I think it's important that we move forward with this item and recognize that it's on top of the current capacity, it's increasing additionally, potentially, over 200 more people off the street every year. Some are there longer and shorter, but the point here is that we're making progress moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll support a motion if there is one.
Okay. Motion and a second. Vice Mayor Talamantes.
Thank you. Two quick questions. One of them is on county behavioral health. How often are they out there?
So there's five teams. The Heart team has 5 separate teams, and they rotate throughout our shelters. So on that rotation, they're at Roseville, I believe it's 2 days a week for half a day. And so they're rotating between all of our city shelters. And then there's still one team that rotates through in the outreach setting.
So 2 days a week, half a day. So 8 hours a week. Okay. Is there any way that we can increase the amount of hours and time that county behavioral health spends out there? I mean, if we're increasing the number of people that we're going to have there, we should also increase the number of days and hours that we get for services.
So that's obviously another discussion that we can have, but the Heart team is assigned to us, and it's also assigned to take all incoming calls that are, anybody can call into County Behavioral Health and request behavioral health assistance, and anybody that is in city limits, the Heart team takes that as well. So on top of providing our outreach and our shelters, they're also taking those calls coming in, and with that, they're with not only taking the original calls and then doing case management with them, that is their capacity. And yes, we could always use more clinicians.
Okay, so I think Mayor and City Manager, I think that's a topic of conversation for our agreement. It's if we're increasing capacity, it should also come with services, and it needs to be both housing and services. They go together. You can't have one without the other. My second question is the data that you showed in your presentation. Are those your numbers or the numbers that the city auditor did in her homelessness presentation about 2 months ago?
And did you pull these from? Yeah, so those are ours from HMIS.
They're roughly the same that was in the auditor's report as well.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a motion, a second on this. I wanted to note that big picture, we clearly have not solved homelessness in Sacramento, the capital city. To my knowledge, no city, as in California or other cities across the nation, have solved it. But that doesn't counter the fact that we're headed in the right direction. That I think when you look at a problem, most people want to be, is it getting worse, staying the same, or getting better? And based upon our numbers, the unsheltered homelessness count for 2 counts in a row has gone down, 15 to 20-ish% per count. More people are living in the shelter, so that shows that we have a roadblock, that we need to build more affordable housing. So voters had their chance to weigh in November on Prop 1 to fund housing throughout California and subsidizing more affordable housing units, but that shouldn't negate the fact that we are, I believe, answering the call and getting more people off of the streets. And this isn't a perfect situation out here for individuals. It's not like the house that we're going to tonight that has an HVAC with a 95-degree day. But I will note the first time that I went there, I saw a couple waiting outside on the chain link fence. And I asked the service workers, who are they? What are they doing out there? Why aren't they here? And the service workers came up to me and said, they're on the list. They're waiting to come here. They're waiting to get in a tiny home without a kitchen, without a bathroom, without HVAC, because it's much better than the 10th on Roseville Road. So in the notion that, we're not going to let the perfect be the enemy of the good, we know that people in the shelters have said that this is a better option for them. Pet capacity, ability to lock your door at night, have some security and safety, especially for women or any individual that has those concerns out there. So just want to applaud the city and DCR for applying for the encampment grant resolution and doubling down on effective solutions to get more unsheltered people off of the streets. And so I just want to make that clear. I know it was alluded to from public comment and the council up here as far as the projects, other projects. Any project that has the 5 million threshold will, of course, go to the city council. So that's undebatable. But focusing on this project here today, I just want to, again, thank you and the city team for putting this forward. We are intrigued because I know the Vice Mayor's question was, do these numbers equate to the audit? And I think that gave me a bit of a comfort that you essentially had your audit, and we were this long, waited for anticipated city auditor report, came out with roughly the same numbers, which says that there's not a lot of perfection going on any of these programs. We have a lot of work to do, but there's no great discrepancy in the numbers. The one thing interesting here is we have, as you mentioned, Councilmember Dickinson, we have 200 units out here roughly, and we have 2 separate operators. So not a competition, but it's a way to look, do some programs have better outcomes than the others? Because if they do, those are the ones we want to not necessarily take that operator, put them on the other site, but maybe copy some of those practices and so forth. In addition to what the Vice Mayor said about encouraging and nudging the county to provide more county behavioral health services. So again, we appreciate the ongoing work. We certainly haven't won the war on homelessness yet, but we just try to make things better every day and every month. So thank you. So with that, we have a motion and a second. No further questions or comments. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Noes or abstentions? Hearing none. Thank you.
We move to item 14, which is annual report on the affordable housing plan required by the city-county partnership agreement.
Good afternoon, Christine Weikert with Sacramento Housing Redevelopment Agency. The report before you is the annual progress update, and I think there's a PowerPoint. I just realized I forgot that. It's the, while we're waiting for that, it's the annual progress update for the city-county affordable housing plan. I'll keep going.
Ethan, is there a PowerPoint?
So in 2022, the county and city entered into a partnership agreement to improve coordination on homeless efforts. The agreement required preparation of an affordable housing plan to analyze issues and set goals specifically for permanent supportive housing, production, and rehousing. While SHRA took the lead in developing the affordable housing plan, we partnered with the county, the city, Sacramento Steps Forward, and many community stakeholders. The 5-year plan, which covers 2023 to 2027, it was approved by the Board of Supervisors in the City Council in October of 2023. The accomplishments being reviewed today are from May 2025 to April 2026. For the permanent supportive housing, the measurable goal was set at creating 300 permanent supportive housing units annually for a total of 1,500 units over the 5-year period. 500 affordable housing units or 100 each year. So the good news is by April of this year, we've seen the creation and funding of 1,450 units of permanent supportive housing, which have either been constructed or in the pipeline, which means we're only 50 units away from meeting the goal at the end of next year. In addition, 3,564 units of affordable housing were constructed, and are in the pipeline. So that far exceeds the affordable housing goal of 500. Other accomplishments to highlight include developing publicly owned parcels, creating 346 units, creating new affordable housing development partnerships, and establishing and tracking production databases on SHRA's website. I guess I'll keep going. For rehousing, the goal is 220 new rehousing opportunities annually for a total of 1,100. The county, city, and Sacramento Steps Forward are all contributing to meeting this goal by creating new partnerships and developing new funding sources. The county had selected Brilliant Corners to operate a flexible housing pool, which leverages CalAIM, and received $5.8 million to provide rehousing support and rental assistance for approximately 250 households. The city's Streets to Housing program assisted 102 households being rehoused from encampments. And the city also became a CalAIM designated provider for community supports, which expands their ability to provide rehousing assistance. And Sacramento Steps Forward received $4.5 million from Bezos' Day One Family Fund to expand rehousing capacity and rental assistance for approximately 160 families. They are calling the effort Sacramento Family Rehousing Accelerator Program, and they continue to partner with Children's Home and others on this rehousing services. So that concludes my presentation. Yaya and Isle is here with me to help answer questions, and representatives from both the county and Sacramento Steps Forward are also available.
Okay, any public comment on this item?
I have one speaker on this item, Kevin Bolts.
Good morning, everyone. Afternoon. I don't know what time it is. It's not 5 p.m. Anyways, I remember years back when the city spent some number of millions of dollars to send people to Seattle and Austin and other places with tiny homes. And we even had Seattle do a study that found for every $100 average rent goes up, homelessness goes up $10. And then the city turned around and denied the ability to have rent control, have a a tenant board with their rights looked after instead of just capital who owns property. And we got rid of all this, threw it away, and now we're fighting over how much money tiny homes that aren't air-conditioned, HVAC, or plumbed are gonna cost. So my question is, when is this country gonna build free public housing again? See, I was born in the late 80s, and my formative years were in the 90s. So in the time between the Cold War ended in 91 and Americans figured out that Muslims caused all their problems in 2001, there was a lot of leftover Cold War propaganda. And I remember hearing as a child growing up, there's nothing as depressing as Soviet architecture. There's nothing as depressing as Soviet architecture. You know what's way more depressing than Soviet architecture? People fucking living outside. People freezing to death outside this building while I've lived here, and nothing happening. People dying. We have a dinner every year where we talk about who died and how we're not going to do anything the next year. And I don't understand. It's like the same as the polarity in the Capitol collapse. Like, I don't understand how you look at history and just not study an open note test. How do you not see that the middle class was created by public policy? Housing was created by public policy. The hood was created by public policy. Bad example, but like, you have to policy this. You can't public-private partnership it. So like, when are we gonna policy free public housing again?
Mayor, that concludes our public comment.
Thank you. Start with Councilmember Maple.
Thank you, Mayor. And really happy to see this come forward. I know this was a labor of love over years, and I really appreciate that there's been this renewed focus on partnership with us, with the county, with SHRA, with Sacramento Steps Forward, and looking forward to, I know we have another agenda item about continued partnerships related to homelessness, but I think one of my takeaways from this report, while it is always true that it's not enough, I think you can look at any community in California and certainly most other states and find that we are not producing enough affordable housing. We're not producing enough units that are specific for people who are experiencing homelessness to get off the street and so on. I'm really encouraged to see that we are outperforming a lot of other places in the state. And it's just true. I mean, if you look at some of the numbers of what we're producing based on our goals, we're doing an excellent job. It's hard. It's especially hard when we look at the funding sources that go into housing, how complicated it is. I know you know better than anyone, Christine. You've been doing this a long time. But, you know, the tax credits and the way that you have to layer on financing and get creative, it's kind of a miracle to me that we ever build any of it. And the fact that we're able to do it in the last few years incredibly well has been really encouraging to me. So it goes without saying, too, that looks like a lot of the production has happened in the city limits, too, which is great, because that's where it's needed. You know, we know where the population centers are, we know where the growth is in a lot of cases, and so that's awesome. I'm really excited. The Donnerfield project in my district was noted in the report. I know, so there's a lot of really, really great progress. One of the things that I'm interested in is how, so as the production of units come online, specifically for affordable housing, how does that relate to the vouchers and the lack of funding for vouchers from HUD? And do we see these things colliding at some point where we have units, but we can't get vouchers for people to actually be in them?
Well, I'll start. If Chris would like to add something, I'm sure she may want to. But I think, you know, and this actually came up recently in a discussion, that I think for most of the permanent supportive housing projects you see here, the 1450 that I mentioned that have been constructed, just about all of them have project-based vouchers associated with them. So, I mean, it's almost, you know, having that rent subsidy, that permanent, ongoing, continuous rent subsidy is really critical to having these homeless units. Without the ability to have project-based vouchers, possibly for many years or a few years at least right now, and again, Chris could answer that probably, but I think without that rent subsidy, it's more difficult for us to produce permanent supportive housing. I think your question might have been more about tenant-based housing, with those that aren't necessarily tied to units, but I would like to point that out. It's hard to produce the units that we did, what we did and we could in the future without those vouchers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's really helpful.
I would just add that it definitely, Chris Warren, Interim Executive Director, SHRA. I would just add it's an excellent point. Without that funding source, affordable housing is very difficult at this point to build. We're finding even this round with our mortgage revenue bond applications that we have fewer applications and none that want public project-based vouchers because they aren't available. So our pool of what's coming in for affordable housing is definitely decreased. And the fact that without those vouchers, it does make everything much more complicated for building affordable housing. Tenant-based also is difficult because without issuing new vouchers, it's only families who are moving based on a need to move, and a lot of affordable housing isn't necessarily waiting on those voucher holders and the few that are out there right now with the vouchers. So it's very complicated, and unfortunately, this is going to make a big difference in the next couple of years.
And thank you, and for the thank you for the clarification on the difference between project and tenant-based. And on the project-based vouchers, obviously we don't have a crystal ball, but we have seen, unfortunately, with this federal administration, that there hasn't been, in my view, as much of a focus or resources put towards these types of vouchers and housing, affordable housing in general. Is there any reason for us to maybe fear that not only that we would not continue to have at least the ones that we have for the projects that we have, but in the future where they might take away project-based vouchers for projects that already exist?
I would be surprised to take away something that's already been contracted out and already been built. Generally, the government tends to recognize, especially the private sector being part of this work that we do, and honoring what they've already agreed to from past projects. But in just a conversation even earlier today, there is scare that they won't be honoring anything going forward. Matter of fact, we have project-based vouchers that are committed from earlier years for projects that haven't yet been built. HUD has put us into a shortfall and said you can't issue. We've had to get special permission to make sure these vouchers are going to be available for the future from previous commitments. And so far, we've been able to commit to those I am a little worried, but right now we have been able to commit. We've also done a couple letters to HUD. I've copied everybody here on there. They were pretty lengthy, so I appreciate any reading of those letters you may have done. But those letters also asked HUD to recognize and put our baseline at the level we need for the project-based vouchers that we committed to in the past recent years. Otherwise, when we go forward, they won't be available. So we're trying to do a number of things, and we're not the only ones. Obviously, everybody's affected, but to your specific question, I don't see them pulling past years' commitments, but more recent is a little scary.
Okay, that's reassuring. And yet, obviously, we're still in the situation that we're in. I think looking at affordable housing as a whole in our city, in our region, one of my big concerns, obviously, is making sure that we can get the resources as much as we can from the federal government, and not go back as much as we can. But we know that it's been paused. And that's already incredibly detrimental to families right now in Sacramento. And then we're doing as much as we can with the resources that we have. But this is more just my personal opinion. But us as a body, us, the county, and others, as we look forward to future years of doing these plans, we should also be taking into consideration what are other things that are in our control, that are outside of what the federal government may do, not knowing that there's a lot of risk there right now, and maybe in the future, and outside of the state. And so that's why I've been really heartened by conversations with the mayor and others about looking at affordable by design projects, getting creative with our housing team to find ways that we can use our own local resources to build things that may not be completely fit in that box of affordable as defined by the state, but may be exactly what someone needs who's working in the service industry or working somewhere else and having a hard time finding a place to live in Sacramento, and that there's a lot of those opportunities. And then again, on our end, getting creative about funding sources. So I know we had a initial conversation, we're going to continue it, about how we can maybe create a revolving fund for housing. But I think it's incumbent on us to not just use every opportunity of state funding and federal funding to do what we need to do, but also get creative locally to the best of our ability. And so I hope as we continue these conversations and our next iterations of these plans that we continue to do that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Talamantes.
Thank you. And I just want to thank SHRA for including us in all the letters that we are sending the federal government in regards to housing here in Sacramento. I know one of the letters included, SHRA projecting a $5.9 million budget shortfall. And you included all the reasons why we have such a large shortfall. But I just want to make note that the two-bedroom fair market rent increased from $1,349 in 2020 to $2,255 in 2026. And so SHRA is having to make up that gap. And that's where a lot of our money is going because of the increasing cost in rent. SHRA makes up for it. And then we have less money to be able to help other people. And so I know you guys sent a very detailed letter, and I just want to thank you for your work on that. Additionally, this is a city-county project that we have done, and it's 4 years in the making, and thank you so much for the report back. This report was originally sent to be presented to both the City Council and the County Board of Supervisors at the same time. And unfortunately, that did not happen. So SHRA just did this presentation at the County Board of Supervisors this morning, and now they're presenting to us together this afternoon. And it'd be better for government to be able to work together. So as we move forward in 2027, we're gonna have to recreate this plan. I would like for us to meet together and have these conversations together to figure out how we can do more. We talk about affordable by design, and we talk about, being less fancy with what we build, but sometimes there's federal level requirements that we have to follow to be able to get the money, to be able to build the unit. And there's a lot of regulations for that. And so I would love for us, as we move forward, to have these meetings together as a joint body that governs SHRA to provide you with more direction all at once. Because I know that you guys have the impossible task of reporting to 14 elected officials and an entire commission. And so I'd love to be able to provide you with feedback and all of us really just govern together as we work on our mission to build more affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Great, thank you. This this city-county partnership agreement created the Affordable Housing Plan roadmap, and it shows how much it's helped when we're able to stay focused and moving forward. Clearly not enough. I mean, the big issue is we still don't have enough units to meet our current demand. And some of the points that I think are important as we look at this plan, the partnership agreement is a 5-year agreement. We're on year 3 of it. One area that I want us to narrow in on is just the cost of construction, just the ability to even get a door, a window, a roof put together because of the infrastructure costs. I also want to continue to look at the revolving loan programs, and maybe the Affordable Housing Plan can look at that. The Gateway project on Stockton Boulevard is a good example of when we can use a revolving loan program to not only have affordable housing, workforce housing, but also mixed income housing there for young professionals all living in one area for every entry point that needs to go in there next to a huge employer, a huge place where they can work, so they don't have to, if they don't want to, aren't forced to have a car and the cost associated with that transportation cost. The second piece that I'm excited about is a lot of that work has led to a lot of successes that we've seen on Stockton Boulevard. And this summer we thank you to SHRA and Mutual Housing. We opened up 100 units of new family housing, affordable housing on Stockton Boulevard on what was a vacant lot that was just a blight and for all of the neighborhood around. And also the construction, the beginning of construction right now for 75 units of senior housing. And that's the other piece that, yes, we must work on ensuring we have family housing, 3-bedroom units, because that's the challenge here. A lot of the housing that is built, affordable housing, is 1 unit or studios. But for family housing, we need 2 to 3 units to be able to do that. So Mutual Housing hit that piece. But as we saw in the previous item here, many of the folks that are in our shelters are over the age of 55, 65, and many of them are not will not have the same level of competitiveness in the workforce. So they're going to be challenged each time with the rising cost of rent. So the senior housing piece, I think, is something that I'd like to make sure that we highlight more in the affordable housing plan, because seniors will have a continual challenge in this housing market if we don't address that piece as well. And they have different needs than young families. So I think that's some things that I'd like to put in for us as we look at updating the city-county partnership agreement. Again, this was a good example. When you have the city and the county working together, we can focus our resources. And I'd like to see how we use those same resources through the enhanced infrastructure financing districts, getting the county to put their share of future tax increment with the city, future tax increment, to be able to reduce the cost of housing. So I think that's an important piece that I'd like to put on the table. Thank you again. There's more work to do, but it is a step forward, and a step forward that we're moving forward with the county. I agree we need to be meeting at the same time as well and figure out how we coordinate our schedules better so that when this report comes, we can have that conversation together. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Dickinson.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks for this accounting. I think this is very, very helpful, both for the elected bodies as well as the public. Too often, I think we operate without a firm grasp on exactly what's going on out there. We know about this project or that one, but we don't know about the totality of what's occurring. And I think capturing it in this report is very helpful and gives us a foundation for having further discussions about how do we tackle this issue, such as you're talking about, of not having availability of project-based vouchers. We need to talk about how do we keep a flow of affordable projects moving in light of that potentially disabling consequence. But I would only say in gently disagreeing with my colleagues who say we need to meet together more often, having been a veteran of not meeting more often, that it's more important the work gets done than we meet together. And so to me, that's the number one priority. I wanted just to take a moment to focus on the rehousing section, Christine, of what you presented, or maybe that's Ya-Yin. I don't know which one of you, or both of you, want to talk about this a little bit, but it looks to me like through the flexible housing pool and the Bezos Day One Families Fund program, that's going to support about 410 families getting rehoused. And these families are families, I'm leaving outside the street to housing program for a moment, but these are families that are actually out on the street and then getting rehoused. Is that right?
I believe that's correct. I'm also going to invite SSF to come up here and help answer that. I think that would be very helpful. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Ayana McGee, Chief Implementation Officer with Sacramento Steps Forward, and I can speak a little bit to the Bezos effort. So late last year, we contracted with Sacramento Children's Home and Insight Housing to deliver rapid rehousing services. We hit a milestone just this June and serve now just over 100 families. And our intent and approach with serving these folks has been to prioritize particularly families who would benefit from like one-time or moderate shorter term assistance to move into long-term housing with some case management and supports. And so we see that many of these folks have CalWorks or some limited income to encourage stability and sustainability, and are currently sheltered and transitioning from being sheltered to being housed through the support of this program. So lots of sheltered folks are folks in temporary situations who, with a little bit of assistance, are able to move along. So that's the intent of the program and where we're at.
Okay, so let me see if I can drill down on this just a little bit. It sounds like, from what you said, that say for the Bezos grant for that's in conjunction with the Children's Receiving Home, that these are families that are actually in shelter.
Yes.
And they're at a point where they're ready to transition out of shelter, but there's not necessarily permanent housing available for them at that point in time. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. And so again, these are folks that we're prioritizing who have some limited income currently. Some they have a job and are needing just kind of like some moderate assistance and to be able to move out of that scenario. So these aren't going to be the most acutely vulnerable coming through our CAS system, because we do receive referrals through CAS, but are folks who are more of that intermediate level who could benefit from that kind of support. So there is some nuance to the rapid rehousing approach.
Okay. And then with respect to the flexible housing pool, are those individuals or families that are coming off the street, or are they also sheltered somewhere and then in transition?
I'll defer to others.
Prioritize first for the flexible housing pool as they look to expand and grow the program over the next few years.
So is the thought here that they would transition into permanent supportive housing, and then, assuming this source of funding were to be were to continue to be available, that then they would be in essence backfilled by other individuals or families in shelter, but with behavioral health needs, who could move in, take advantage of this? Is that the continuum here?
Yes, although I don't think they're looking to transition into permanent supportive housing. I think it's more of a rehousing, so rental assistance. I'm not sure how long they anticipate the rental assistance to last for these clients, but theoretically, these clients would move from the behavioral health bridge housing like at Grove Florin into another housing opportunity. They would be supported with rental assistance there, and that would open up a bed at the places like Grove Florin.
So they wouldn't be necessarily moving from this transitional condition to to a setting that continues to have services immediately available, it sounds like you would expect with certain permanent supportive housing.
I think for some of them, the hope is to transition to permanent supportive housing for those who need it. I think they're going to probably be looking at clients who can move into housing with rental assistance and perhaps not as heavy. So maybe they're kind of graduating from the highly supportive places like behavioral health bridge housing.
I see, okay. And then with respect, Yayan, I think maybe you're the best person to speak to this, the Street to Housing program. Can you give us a snapshot of where we are now with that?
Sure. So we housed 102 households, and we completed the rehousing from encampment we mostly moved households into apartments. That was completed in December of 2025. And now we are continuing to work with Community Health Works, who is our service provider, doing the case management and rehousing work with us to connect them into permanent housing solutions. So some of them are stabilizing and being reunited with families. Some of them are moving into affordable housing, like several are going into the Revo at 440 Arden. Some of them are being connected to permanent supportive housing. We've been working in partnership with SSF on the transition from rapid rehousing to permanent supportive housing. So we are in that effort. There are some clients who are coming up on a year on their lease. We staggered the moving in, so not all 100 are closing out at the same time. And so we have funding available from the state encampment resolution grant to keep some leases going longer. So we are evaluating on a case-by-case basis, the housing opportunities that might become available and extending for 6 months as needed. So we anticipate going until September of 2027 with this program being able to continue to assist clients into permanent housing solutions.
So it looks like maybe the last part is among the most important. It looks like there's funding sufficient to support the remaining population that hasn't transitioned to more permanent housing until September.
Not 100% of them, but a good portion of them.
Roughly another year.
Correct, right. And we had always anticipated and budgeted in the grant that it was, 12 to 18 to 24 months of rental assistance. And so that's what we're looking at. We also have clients who've been exited or their lease is terminated by the landlord for other issues. And so some of that attrition is allowing us to continue the budget longer for some of the clients who are still in housing.
Yeah, and again, these were folks who came off the street.
Yes.
They were around the Sacramento Northern Bike Trail.
Correct.
Largely. So thank you for that update. I'm curious whether any of this money has been targeted at those who are housed but at risk of losing their housing. And I don't mean a house in a shelter. I mean in a rental unit, something of that kind, but at risk of losing that. Is any of this money going in that direction?
Are you talking about the street to housing or just these rehousing efforts?
All of them.
I think these efforts and this affordable housing plan focused on permanent supportive housing and rehousing. It did not focus so much on prevention. So,
thank you, Yayan. I can answer that.
Okay.
The goal was to make certain that individuals who are coming out of shelter can get some stability. So we wanted to focus on, I think there are people who we know who are going to fall into an unstable situation and the people who might fall into an unstable situation. And I think when you look at the individuals who are currently, experience unhoused situations, they get into permanent supportive housing. We do want to make certain that they're successful. So the goal was to focus on people that we know have the most likelihood to fall back into that situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. As we go through these accountings we're doing of how we're spending our money and where we're spending it, what we're building, what we're getting in results, I would be interested to see a more comprehensive look at funding that gets spent on prevention and rental assistance. And I don't know that I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I don't know that I've seen the universe of it. I'm not sure. Maybe I have and don't realize it, but.
Yeah, this plan that was adopted in 2023 really did focus on the permanent supportive housing production and the rehousing, but I think, as Vice Mayor Talamonte said, at some point when this plan expires next year, so maybe that is something to look at adding.
Yeah, and I get that there was a different initiative that this represented, so I wasn't surprised not to see it here. So it's really that's a future request, more than anything else. So I appreciate the explanations, and I do think that it can be a foundational part of the conversation with the county and even more broadly as well. But as I said at the outset, more important to do the work. So thanks.
Okay, that concludes our questions from council members. I don't have much to add. I think most of the council members hit on it. Just the obvious is that we can't do this alone, and as council members know, these big projects in their district, when they go to the groundbreakings, there's lots of names to address and lots of names on those boards because they have to get multiple sources to make these work. With that comes sometimes more strings, and the whole abundance thing we should always be mindful of, and sometimes it costs $1.20 to get $1 in federal money, it seems. But that being said, is that we can't control what the federal and state governments are doing to help with us. Clearly, the federal government is pulling back right now, and I firmly believe that it's a 2-year blip, and common sense will see its way in 2028. The state is stepping up. People, I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but there's a big measure on the ballot this November, Prop 1, which would fund thousands of shovel-ready thousands of shovel-ready units right here in Sacramento. So that would be a tremendous addition for this partnership. So just on a technical thing that I know Vice Mayor Talamonte's alluded to this, and I've communicated with the chair of the Board of Supervisors today, and this, I think, was a potential oversight that we wanted, as we talked about SHRA, meeting not every item, but some of the larger items together. This was clearly one that fits in that bucket. So going forward, I ask that we have better coordination before we set these on the agenda to see if that, and we didn't have a strict rule, like this is going to go on the county, city together, but we talked overall certain items where there's plenty of cross-jurisdictional importance. This certainly could be one of those, so thank you.
So we now move to item number 15, which is Sacramento Housing and Homeless Ad Hoc Task Force Meeting Number 1 report out.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of the City Council. This item is an oral report on the first meeting of the Sacramento Housing and Homelessness Ad Hoc Task Force. Since April of 2026, when the City Council approved a framework model that brings together the functions of the continuum of care and local jurisdictions, we've been working closely with our partners towards implementation. In May, city and county staff presented jointly to the Sacramento Continuum of Care Board a joint framework model, which the COC board approved. In June, the county executive of Sacramento County and the city managers of the cities of Sacramento, Citrus Heights, Elk Grove, Folsom, Galt, and Rancho Cordova signed a letter of intent committing to a shared effort to build a new regional partnership model for housing and homelessness across the county. This letter that was signed reflected a shared intent to participate in a process supported by a consultant and form an ad hoc task force to develop the details of this model, which will ultimately be brought back to all of the local jurisdictions for governing body approval. Later in June, Sacramento County released a request for proposals to bring on the independent consultant, and in July, Field Impact Partners was selected by a committee of local jurisdictional staff and SSF. On August 6th, the first ad hoc task force meeting was held. This ad hoc task force is made up of elected officials representing each of the participating local jurisdictions, as well as 2 members of the COC board. This group is not the future governing body, but it has been convened to help develop the recommendations and the details for a new regional model. The ad hoc task force will meet 2 or 3 more times between now and the end of the year before the Board of Supervisors and the City Councils and the COC Board review the final documents for approval, including composition of the new governing body and appoint members in January. At this time, I would like to invite the city's representatives on the task force, Council Members Maple and Pluckybaum, to share an update on the meeting.
All right, thank you, Ayan, and a really good update. So, as was mentioned, we held our first meeting and formally kicked off the next several months of work to develop recommendations for a new governance model. So, I think this is a really important moment for our region because we've been having conversations about how to better coordinate homelessness and housing in Sacramento in some form or fashion for the last 2 decades. You've heard me say that before. There have been grand jury recommendations, previous efforts to establish Joint Powers Authority, including legislation by one Assemblymember McCarty, and partnership agreements and many, many other efforts. Some of those are still in existence today, so not to say any of that work wasn't important. It's all very foundational to the work that we're doing today. But I think it is high time that we all get together in the same room and figure out what does it look like when we're all in it together and moving forward. So our first meeting focused primarily on establishing the scope of work, the timeline, the process for making decisions. And from here, we'll work with the consultants, our wonderful staff, and our regional partners to tackle what I think are some of the most significant questions, which is, what will it look like? Will it be a more formal Joint Powers Authority? Will it be something more informal? What resources and staffing would be necessary for it to operate effectively? How will decisions get made collaboratively across jurisdictions? And whether or not we can bring all these pieces together into a model that everyone can actually agree upon. So no easy feat, but I'm really encouraged by where we're at so far. So as was mentioned, we're looking to have recommendations for adoption by all of the jurisdictions in January 2027. And we have a really great team to make that happen. So I just want to thank the mayor for the opportunity to represent the city on the task force and pass it on over to my colleague Phil to see if he has any addition.
Thank you, Councilmember Maple. Sometimes getting started is the hardest part, so we're very much in the sort of storming phase of this work, but there's good momentum and it's a really impressive team. You've got strong representation from every city and the county, so I look forward to continuing the work.
Councilmember Guerra.
Great. I wanted to thank a lot of our staff as well for coordinating with all of the other different cities and jurisdictions. One of the things I wanted to highlight, and sometimes as frustrating as it is for the public, they saw the joint meeting that we created and wanted something immediately out the gate. But what really has come about that is a commitment from all the cities to meet on this, engage in this, and even sign the letter. I do have to give a lot of credit to my colleagues for keeping the pressure, driving the pressure, to making sure that we move faster, and that I feel hopeful that the city of Sacramento will continue to lead this collaborative effort to make a solution moving forward. So thank you, Mayor. Appreciate the work and everyone's engagement in it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Councilmember Kaplan.
Thank you, Mayor. I too want to thank my colleagues, and I think perfect timing, Councilmember Maple, just enough time to spend some time at home and come back so that we can see a signature in January 27. I don't know if it's something that the collaborative has asked. So if SB 802 becomes the law, what does that do to the task force?
I can start, and if you all want to chime in. So at this time, SB 802 in its current form is fairly consistent with the way the task force is moving forward. And so the task force will continue to move forward with our discussions. This was discussed at our first meeting. It was a question that was brought up, what happens? And I think the general consensus is that we are continuing to move forward in our direction, which luckily is fairly consistent with the current form of the bill. And, as the bill continues to move forward, we will adapt and adjust as necessary.
So I think then a follow-up question, if somebody is interested, is the task force televised? How does somebody learn about the meetings? Are there any minutes? Because I hear you, but how is there transparency and accountability?
So the task force is an ad hoc task force. It is not a Brown Act group. And so we provide the meeting summary was attached to the agenda item for this. And we intend to do that after each meeting. And each of the local jurisdictions are doing a report out to their councils and board on the item. And that is how we are intending to share out from the 3 meetings that we intend to have.
So is it something that you will just email mayor and council members, or is it something that'll go on the website as a status?
We are going to have agendized council items like today. So the summary meeting notes were published on the city's website as part of the agenda item for this item, and we will do the same after the October meeting. And then after the final meeting, we will actually be coming back to City Council for an approval item on with the final product that comes out of this group.
Okay, so what's the timeline difference between the meeting and then coming to council with the notes?
So August 6th was when this meeting was held, and so by the time we got the notes and we met the clerk, agenda item, today's August 25th, so it was about 20 days. The next meeting is October 1st, and I believe I'm looking at an October 20th council meeting report back.
Okay, thank you for that information. I think it's really helpful as people have asked questions and this information isn't readily available or out there. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, just one technical question. But before, thank you for working on this, and thank you to the 2 council members for pushing forward what we all approved in the spring to most importantly, have better collaboration on homelessness and housing. This, of course, was zeroed in on overseeing the COC money and the federal piece. But the second part of that was something that council member and I have been working on for a couple years is, can we get together on a regular basis to talk about what we just talked about an hour ago, how we can utilize our local monies in a better, more coordinated manner. And so that is not legally binding structure to that. That's kind of a trailer to the COC reform. So do those things go together? And that second piece, frankly, probably won't happen until we have clarity on the first piece. Maybe you can enlighten us on that.
No, we discussed this with Field and Back Partners, and they understand that it's kind of a 2-part piece. So we are looking to address both this local jurisdictional governing body to discuss these items, as well as the functions of the COC. So at the October meeting, we intend to dig into it. How it plays out is dependent on, how some of the other groups feel about that. So it could, I could see the local jurisdictional group forming first, and then the COC part, folding in at a later date if needed, or vice versa. But we are looking at both of those items concurrently.
Thank you. Okay, this was an informational item, receive and file. Did you have a statement?
So Mayor Kevin Bolts did sign up to speak, but he has left the chambers.
Sorry.
So I have no speakers.
Okay, this was a receive and file item, no vote or action item on this one.
Correct. We move to council comments, ideas, questions, and AB 123 reports. Councilmember Vang.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Just wanted to let folks know that our 6th annual South Sac Festival is happening this Saturday, August 29th from 11 to 3 p.m. at Valley High Park. All of my colleagues are invited. There's going to be community resources, health screenings, free haircuts, cultural performances, and a live band. So come through. Community Ride Plan by Saba. Actually, Saba's going to meet at Richard's Donuts at 9:30 and actually ride over to the Southside Festival if you want to come ride your bike. And then Sac RT is also presenting, offering free rides as well. And then I also wanted to share that next Monday on August 31st at 10 a.m. at the Valley High North Laguna Library, we're going to celebrate an installation that's about 8 to 30 feet long. It's a hand-woven art public art piece honoring Hmong, Palestinian, and Filipino textile traditions. So if you're available on Monday, August 31st from 10 to 11, please come through. You can come and actually meet the artists, experience the completed mural, and really celebrate the many hands and traditions and stories that brought this project to life in South Sacramento. And those are all my updates.
Councilmember Jennings.
Thank you very much. Music in the Park is back. It's going to take place this Sunday evening, August the 30th as well, from 6 to 8 p.m. It's going to take place at Curtis Park, and it's about the band. That's what the name of the session is. It's offering a lively mix of big band music, swing, Latin, and contemporary favorites. The food trucks will be out there, so we invite you to join us and the neighbors in the area for a fun and free summer concert, even though you got to pay for the food. Music is free.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Thank you very much. This Friday is our monthly office hours at Tahoe Park with food trucks, but more exciting, we're hoping you'll join us with all of our clean air partners to showcase Volvo's generation power, where we're going to power all of our food trucks. When you go to a lot of these festivals, whether it's Cal Expo or any of our food events, you have 7, 8 generators going all at once, one for each food truck, for the beer garden, for the band, for lighting, and all of those cause noise and emissions. But what's exciting is we're going to be working with also our local IBEW as well, and talking about the skills and job opportunities in ways that, one, we have cleaner air, quieter and more enjoyable, where you can actually hear the band, and second, making sure that we're moving forward on our climate goals while have wonderful, exciting events. So we'll hope you'll join us, this Friday at 5 o'clock at Tahoe Park, and for a fun and clean food truck event. And our office hours as normal. Our city team will be there to answer any questions for the city. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Maple.
Thank you very much. I just want to take this opportunity to let my colleagues and the public know that this will be my last meeting as I embark on my maternity leave. But I do want you to know that the District 5 office is fully operational, and we have an incredible team, and including our chief of staff, our district director, our communications manager, and our operations director. So just know you can always call, you can email. We are here to assist, and I will be joining you back soon. Probably virtually at first, but I'm really looking forward to it, and just wanted to let everyone know. And I just appreciate the opportunity to serve with you all, and looking forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you. Are you doing Yeah, okay. Yes.
City Manager, do we have a report? No report out. So Mayor, we move to public comment matters not on the agenda. I have one speaker, Lambert Davis. Mr. Davis. I did have 2 other speakers, Leanna H. and Kevin Bolts, but they have left chambers.
Yes, this announcement is really for Mr. Dickinson, the mayor. Hopefully the new city manager will listen to it. Mr. Guerra met her in person, and anyone else who's paying attention. This happened last Sunday. This is the 80th anniversary. I don't know how many of you have ever been to an 80th anniversary, but that was something to see. And this confirms that my parents moved here in 1946 because our mother was one of the charter members of this church. And I've already sent it to Mr. Dickinson's office. He's familiar with who she was. He should be familiar with this church. This is where a lot of politicians come and pitch to the public from this group. I've never seen that many people there. I met people who were 90, some were 100, and most of them remember me because I grew up there. And they were so proud of the cheesecake. I mean, they come from the deep South where they weren't even allowed to do what I'm doing. And so they were really proud, and it has inspired me to get after City Hall now, because now you have everything you have now in front of you to reach out to us. The budget is complete. Our phone should be ringing. This is instant jobs. Instant revenue, you're always talking about that. And a computer cannot make a cheesecake. I don't care what people tell me about AI. It has to be a crew. We got a manufacturer ready to go. But this 80 years anniversary, this should inspire you because this is absolutely inspirational to me.
Thank you. Laura Callett will be our final speaker this afternoon.
Hi. So, good afternoon. My name is Laura Callett. I'm with H2L Ground Delivery, Inc. We are a third-party contractor for FedEx, and I'm here today seeking guidance regarding parking citations we are receiving while actively doing our deliveries in the Natomas area. We have received nearly 100 citations for parking in bike lanes and bus zones. In many of these locations, our delivery vehicles are simply too large that we overhang into these areas. We extend into these areas, there's nothing we can really do about it without creating a further hindrance or safety on the public, motoring bicycles, pedestrians, things to those natures. There are no designated commercial delivery spaces available, yet we're obligated to service our community. Okay, so we have requested hearings for these citations and presented numerous amounts of evidence for these citations and have still been held liable. We are a small business. We are not FedEx. We are a third-party contractor service. We do not have millions of dollars to pay for citations. Okay, these citations are costing us thousands and thousands of dollars for simply servicing the public. Okay, Truxell Road, all in the Natomas area, we have Grand Avenue, West El Camino, Truxell, and Northgate are our biggest hitters. Our trucks are too wide, and when we're seeking guidance to try to figure out how is the best way to mitigate this. At this point, we've requested hearings, citations, repeatedly been found liable. The financial impact to our small business is becoming extremely difficult to absorb. We are not FedEx. Unlike a large corporation, we do not have millions of dollars available to simply pay these penalties. We want to be clear and are not asking to avoid reasonable parking regulations. We're asking for a workable solution that allows delivery companies to service customers safely and legally without.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Thank you. Your 2 minutes is complete.
Yes.
Corina?
Vice Mayor Talamontes, do you want to direct here?
Yeah, if you can connect with Matt and my chief of staff, please. They're waving back there. If you can connect with them, that'd be great.
We're going to try to help you address this in the back. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Concludes public comment.
I believe Councilmember Maple has an adjourned memory.
Yes. Thank you for your indulgence, Mayor and Council. I'd like to adjourn in the memory of the incomparable Dolly Parton, who passed away today at the age of 80. And I'm sorry if I'm the first person to tell you that today. I just learned it not too long ago. We all know Dolly Parton as a legendary singer, songwriter, and actress, and a cultural icon who brought joy to generations. As chair of the Sacramento Public Library Authority, I especially want to recognize her legacy that went far beyond her music, her lifelong commitment to literacy and getting books to children. Dolly Parton started the Imagination Library in 1995, inspired to do so in honor of her father, who she said was one of the smartest people she knew, but never had the opportunity to learn to read and write. The Imagination Library has since gifted more than 330 million free books to kids and continues to give 3 million books every single month to children from birth to age of 5. For those of us who believe in public libraries, literacy, and investing in our children, that commitment says a lot about the kind of person that Dolly Parton was. She used her success to give millions of kids a head start and help foster a lifelong love of learning. As I'm expecting my first child soon, and I think a lot about what we can do to make this world a better place for the next generation. People like Dolly Parton and all the people in the Sacramento Public Library system, shout out, working 9 to 5 to serve our community, exemplifying the idea that we leave the world a better place than we found it. I know my house will be playing a lot of Dolly's classics, and I also know that we'll be reading a lot of books, thanks to many of you. So thanks especially to Councilmember Kaplan. Thank you for filling the library. Because Dolly taught us that books help us sail away to another world. Her commitment to discovery, learning, and imagination is an important way Dolly Parton will always be remembered. So this afternoon, I ask that we adjourn our meeting in memory of Dolly Parton. We will always love you. Thank you.
Yes, that was a last great one. There we go. I love that. Yes, we want to adjourn in national treasure, Dolly Parton. And remember, a couple years ago, we inserted some money in the state budget to further the Imagination Library in cities across California, including Sacramento. Another adjourn in memory this afternoon that Councilmember Jennings and I would like to do is adjourn in memory of Dr. Jack Edward Foote, Professor of Music Emeritus, at Sacramento State. He was a beloved educator, musician, mentor, community leader, and a long-time member in the Sacramento community, and specifically the Pocket neighborhood, working on the Pocket Greenhaven Rotary issues, as well as active with his church there, the Westminster Presbyterian Church. And I'd like to pass it off to Mr. Jennings to conclude this adjourn in memory.
So in addition to what the mayor has said, Dr. Foote was a good son, an incredible husband, a father to Joel and Jason, a musician, a band director, a music teacher who arranged and/or composed over 200 musical works. He was someone that his family looked up to, his community loved, and he made a difference because he was committed to be a change agent that would change the way he saw things and help others to change the way they see things as well. So we just want to show the family love, support, and whatever we can do. And I didn't mention that his wife taught both of my kids in school, and I think they are better kids and adults because of the teachings of the Foote family. So we adjourn in the memory of Dr. Jack Edward Foote.
Thank you. And with that, we are adjourned.